the first thing we're going to talk about is what is a meal plan, right? Most of you guys probably already know that, but there's so many dieting trends and stuff like that that fall around. You've got macros, they call it flexible dieting, just typical nutrition. You've got keto, you've got all this and that or whatever. I'm not here to say that any of those things are bad. As a matter of fact, I probably want to preface all of this with almost everything I'm going to say today is not a 100% absolute. All right? And anybody that tells you what they're saying, like one diet, this is the way to do it, they don't know what they're talking about. Okay? There are very, very many ways to get lean, and there are very, very many ways to skin a cat. Okay? The meal plans that we're going to use today and for this challenge are going to be a good ratio of all the macronutrients and trying to pick the absolute best options for what your goal is. And everyone's goal in here, as far as I know, is to get leaner, right? To lose body fat while maintaining muscle, not just lose weight. Does anybody just want to lose weight in here? Okay, I didn't think so. Cool. So, in order to do that, we have to make sure that we're in the best position, okay? And that's going to take a little bit of tweaking for everybody, but it's going to look very similar. Now, as far as calories go and what you guys are eating, I'm going to need to know that because we'll get into the calories a little bit later, but whoa! It definitely needs to be in the challenge. You're in the right place, Thomas. You're in the right place. That was awesome. He's like, I'm not doing that. Don't sit on anything expensive. All right, so am I out of frame?
I thought somebody was shot.
All right. So anyway, so let's jump into it. What is a meal plan? A meal plan is very simple. It is you setting a course for your goals and being specific about what you're going to eat. That's all it is. A meal plan could consist of donuts and pizza if your goal is to get fat, have diabetes, and die of cancer, right? But that's not our goal. So very, very simple. A meal plan could be anything. It doesn't have to be a certain amount of carbs, fats, carbohydrates, or any certain quality. All right, now, what do all these diets that we talk about have in common? Does anybody know what all diets that work have in common? Show of hands. Anybody? Consistency is one of those things. It's correct. But if we're trying to lose weight, lose fat, whatever, the same thing that happens with keto, that happens with Whole30, that happens with macros, that happens with meal plans, is that there is a reduction in calories, right? You have to be in a caloric deficit. And that sounds like the old school way of thinking, but it's 100% true. And again, if anybody tells you that you're not, that it's not, they don't know what they're talking about, okay? Now, here's where it gets tricky though, is that we're gonna go over calories and your BMR and your TDEE, and I'm gonna have you guys calculate all those in a little bit, but what your normal healthy BMR and TDEE might be, you're probably already eating less than that now. So, and because of that, you screwed up your metabolic rate. You screwed up your hormones. And the only way to stop that is to raise it back up. And oftentimes when we add more food in, there's going to be an initial weight gain. Okay, so for this challenge, we are not going to do that because everybody's goal is to lose weight. So we're going to have an aggressive approach. But what I am going to do today is I'm going to help you guys make your own maintenance plan. So after these 5 weeks are over, you can go to a maintenance, you can get your bodies healthy, and you can start the best way possible. Does that make sense for everybody? Does that sound like a good idea? Yeah, shake your head like that? Okay, cool. So, sorry, I'm going to have to go back and forth between having my glasses off and not having them on. All right, so what is the difference between macros, portions, and calories, and all those different markers of food? Does anybody know that?
What's macro?
What is a macro? It's a very good question. A macro is a measurement of food, and it breaks it down into 3 macronutrients. That's where the word comes from. It's protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Those are your 3 macronutrients. So we break foods down, if you're doing a macro diet, which is really popular right now, flexible dieting, if it fits your macros, I'm sure you guys have heard of that. You break it down into those 3 categories. So you look at chicken would be a protein, and we're also going to go over those things. Almond butter would be a fat, bread would be a carb, something like that, right? So that's what those are. But the thing is that macros, calories, portions, all these different things, it's literally the same thing. So when somebody says, should I do macros? I say, you already are, right? It's just a way of measuring food. So when someone tells you, again, someone thinks that counting calories is stupid and macros is where it's at, that's like saying driving a car is stupid. But being behind the wheel of an automobile to get you to where you need to go, that's the way to go. It's the same freaking thing, all right? So what you're going to see in the meal plans is you're going to see portions to break it down for you specifically, like ounces of meat, cups of starches, ounces of vegetables and things like that, right? So, but that doesn't mean that there's not macros in there. It just means that we're using this as our easiest way of measuring everything, right? Because if I tell you, you need 420 calories of oatmeal, well, you're going to have to translate that into a macro. And then you're going to have to translate that macro into a weigh measurement, because you have to weigh it. And then you got, is it before I cook it? Is it after I cook it? So we're going to make it as easy as possible for you guys to create these meal plans and actually make it work. So you're not having to do long division on your calculator, on your phone, all right? As far as meal plans, let me go back on here because I can't see crap. As far as meal plans, the reason why meal plans are the most effective way of getting progress, does anybody know that? It's a pretty easy one if you think about it. Why are meal plans better than macros? If you're already a client, you probably heard me say this. You what? With something to follow, there you go. But even with macros, what can you do with macros? Technically, who in here has done macros? Can you make your macros fit with ice cream? Right, yeah. Is ice cream the same decision as vegetables? Like broccoli? No, it's not, right? So with a meal plan, I can control everything that goes in here. Anytime I can do that, we're going to have more efficiency, right? So meal plans, as long as they're made right, and they don't have pizza and ice cream in them, will always be better than going off of macros. A lot of this, guys, I apologize if it seems kind of elementary to you guys. I'm going to get a little bit more into it, but I really want to cover the bases because I know there's some people here that have no idea about any type of relationship with food. I know some of you guys have been dieting hard, and some of you guys are already my clients. You know a lot of these things. So I'm going to go over the pyramid of kind of how I like to look at fitness, or not fitness, but nutrition planning, okay? And you can notice it's kind of similar to the way that we talk about CrossFit, if you guys have gone over that, if you've taken level 1. So at the base of this pyramid, the largest portion is calories. It's kind of important. If you guys have pen and paper, you can kind of write this down. If you got a little pro tip, if you have a white marker board, take a picture of it and erase it. So calories. So you have to be in a caloric deficit. And we're going to find out exactly how many calories you guys need to have so we can figure out what your caloric deficit is a little bit later. And have you guys go through that. There's a formula that most calculators use. But calories are super, super important. What is a calorie? Does anybody know what a calorie is?
The energy needed to raise 1 gram of water 1 degree Celsius.
Bam! Nice. So, if you guys heard her, basically calorie is a dead measurement of heat. All right? It's from like the 1800s or 1700s or something like that. It's a dead measurement, but we now only use it for food. Okay? Which is fine, right? As long as there's something that we can count, because remember, it's all the same at the end of the day. All right? So, above that will be the ratio of calories that we take in, which would be, we were just talking about it, macros. Right? So the amount of total calories, protein, fats, carbs, all that kind of stuff jumped in. That's the most important part. That's the base. And then finding the ratios, fats, protein, and carbohydrates, that's getting us a little bit closer to that bullseye, right? We're out here with calories. We're getting a little bit closer with macros. After macros is, anybody guess? Next one is, well, micros are actually, we don't talk about that as super important, but we put that in there with macronutrients. For the pyramid, we talk about timing, right? And that's when to eat food. And I actually had several people ask us that. It's like, are you going to tell us when to eat this food? I'm not going to give you like, all right, at 12:35, you better be having meal 4 or you're going to lose. Like that's, but there are some specific times when we can have carbohydrates and they're going to help us more. There's specific times when we're going to utilize fats better throughout the day and things like that, according to when our something called our circadian rhythm is, like our sleep patterns, and also according to when we're the most active. All right, so that's next after that. And then after timing, the next most important thing is quality of food. Right, so this is when we start getting into, and I'm not necessarily saying like, when we think quality, a lot of us like, oh, grass-fed Tibetan monk blanched almonds, right? Like they're $30 from Whole Foods. Like that's not necessarily what I'm talking about quality. While a lot of that stuff is important, and I'm not saying you shouldn't buy organic if you can afford it, for what our purposes are here, we want to make sure that, somebody said the most important thing about diet was consistency, right? If I create a plan with you, or for you, that's impossible for you to follow for the rest of your life, or you can only follow it for 30 days, what good is that? Right? You're just going to go like this. How many guys have done like this? How many guys have lost 10 pounds or more like 5 times in their lives? There's some people who lost 100 pounds for 5 times in their life. It's because of that lack of consistency. So, the quality of food is important, but I don't want us to focus on buying grass-fed beef that's $20 a pound. Because if it's not realistic for your budget, you spending that money for a short period of time is not going to mean you're going to live 10 years longer. It's just not. Okay? So you have to think about that. I would rather you eat regular beef and have a good diet and be able to afford that and eat that the rest of your life. Does that make sense? All right, so the quality of food is more talking about gluten intolerance and things like that. And we're going to get into each one of these. Glycemic index, glycemic loads, qualities of protein, qualities of fat. So things like we were saying, carbs from an ice cream is completely different from carbs from jasmine rice. All right, so that's what I'm talking about, quality of food. And then the last thing up here, and you can see it's a very small part, is supplements. It's the least important thing, and it's the thing that I get the most questions on, that everybody wants to know, what pill can I take? What little thing can I do that's not going to cause me any issues that I can just hand over money for, that's going to get me to where I want to be without any effort? And you see how much of an importance it is in the grand scheme of things. All right? If we take care of calories and macros, we've got over probably 50% of the equation solved right now, right, as far as fitness. If we add in some proper timing into that, we've got like 75%. And if we start worrying about the quality of food, we got like 85, 90% in there, right? The supplements are just the icing on the cake, all right? I'm not saying that they don't have a place, they do, but the supplement business is something like a $9 billion business a year, and it's completely based off of our laziness. And if you're lazy enough to worry about this first, you're never going to get to where you want to go. All right? That's my little motivational speech. So, let's start getting into, have I lost anybody yet? Everybody following? Tracking? Thumbs up? Good? Okay. So, let's start getting into the first part. And guys, I've got this stuff up here. If you want to look at it, it's basically what we're going to talk about today. So, this is a pyramid that we just talked about. We're going to get into our BMR and our TDEE next. Does anybody know what BMR stands for? Damn, good. You guys are good. I like that. And then, well, who knows what TDEE stands for?
Total daily energy.
Energy expender. Okay, so what do those words mean? What does BMR mean? Yeah, so it's how many calories does your body burn throughout the day if you're in a coma, basically, right? Maybe not a coma, but completely docile and didn't do anything. right? So that's our BMR. And there's an equation that there's 100 calculators online. And you guys can all look them up, and most of them are free and stuff like that. But there's an equation that you guys can do. So hopefully everybody has a calculator on their phone. Isn't it funny how, like, if you guys are old enough in school, you had to learn the math because your teacher was like, you're never going to have a calculator on you at all times. You're wrong, Miss Penny. You're wrong. So we're going to go over that. And this is the equation right here for BMR. So hopefully, does everybody at least know their weight and their height? Does anybody not know their weight and their height? Something similar? Okay, cool. So let's take out our calculators real quick. And I'm going to give you guys some times. You're going to do 10 times your body weight in kilograms.
What?
Yeah.
This isn't Canada.
Soviet Russia. Hey, in Soviet Russia, macros eat you. All right.
Oh, I know.
So it's
Is that the cat?
weight divided by, you what? I'm not familiar with what that is. It might be. It might be. That's just a typical equation. That's what most calculators use. So 2.2 is how you, so your body weight divided by 2.2, if you don't know what that is.
I don't. And then.
Yeah. Times by 10.
Wait, what did you say?
I'm going to do this myself, so.
Times it by 10.
Your girl times it by 10 body weight. Plus 6.2.
Once you get, just everybody get the body weight number or that first number first.
Body weight divided by
So,
2.2.
yeah, your body weight in kilos divided by 10. Make sure it's kilos. Get that first. If your body weight is 200 pounds or 220 pounds, the kilograms would be 100,
Times 10.
right? And then times the kilogram number by 10. And again, guys, like she was saying, this is just a simple equation I pulled off the internet. This is what pretty much every calculator uses, right? This is, again, based off of your hormones, your current metabolic rate, all those things are going to change. So this is like a starting point. So don't treat this as gospel, right? All right, does everybody have that number? That first number? Anybody not have that number? Raise your hand. Okay. We got plenty of time, no worries. I got nowhere to be till Tuesday, so.
Plus 6.25 times your height and centimeters.
All right, so if we have that, then you're going to find your height in centimeters, which is 1 inch equals 2.54, I think, right? I was pretty good at math. 1 inch, 2.54. So find that, your height in centimeters. And by the way, inches to feet, there's 12 inches in a foot. Get that right? Okay, cool. And then we're going to times that by 6.25.
Alright, can you say that again?
So your height in centimeters, so figure out how many inches you are, right? If you're 4 feet, that's 40 foot inches, or 48 inches, right? And then 48 times 2.54, whatever your inches are. All right, everybody got that? Or anybody not have that yet?
Hold up.
You good? Good. And then we're going to take our age in days. I'm just kidding. Your age in years. And we're going to times that by 5. So you should have 3 numbers now. You guys didn't think you have to do math today, did you? I'm trying to keep your brains involved here so you're not just staring at me aimlessly while I'm talking.
Oh, wait, no, you want us to take our height plus 6.25 under 6.
I learned this from my 3rd grade teachers that I coach.
Age times 5.
Yeah. So if you're 30 years old, it's 150, right?
Age times 5.
Age times 5, yeah.
There you go. You should have good numbers. Like that. I have giant numbers too, but you know what? That's going to go down.
So, then when you get that, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Plus the second one minus the next one minus the next one.
It's centimeters. So how many inches taller? 60? So
Minus 205.
60 times 2.54, maybe 152.4. So 152.4 times.
Yvonne's got, she is on,
Your number would be 9.
so this is our BMI. Well, I'm just saying, I can do that.
All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the first number, that's 10 times our weight, whatever that number was, add it to the second number, that's the height number. Find a number for that. I feel like a math teacher now. I'm not going to check y'all's work though, so if you got it wrong, it's going to be either like a lot fatter or a lot skinnier. After this, you could, if you're worried about it, you can go on any calculator online and do it. I just wanted you guys to see this actual equation. And so we're going to take those first two numbers, you add those together, right? And then we're going to minus the third number, your age number, you'll minus that, right? So if this is 1500 and this is 1500, then you're at 3000, and then you minus your age, if that's, 150, you would be at 2850. And the only difference for men and women, men are going to add 5 to it. Women will minus 161. Yeah, I need y'all to do me a favor real quick. I've got a friend that's not doing too good. Could all you guys say, "You're doing great, Mike, keep it up"? Hold on. Ready? Go. You're doing great, Mike, keep it up! Love you, brother. All right. Thank you so much. The whole talking. I really feel like a teacher. This is just for me. For what you guys do. If you're not willing to do this, by the way, you're probably not going to do too good on the challenge from day-to-day activities. All right, does everybody have that? Or close to it? I'm going to go ahead and move forward. But if you guys don't have it, you can keep working on it. So that's our BMR. So whatever that number is, that's your baseline to maintain proper function in your body, brain-wise, organ-wise. That's not even any energy expenditure. Like, that's not working out. That's not like walking or anything like that. That's just what you need to survive and be healthy at that level, somewhere around there. Now, if you guys were to find out, I guarantee you a lot of you guys are probably eating under that, which is kind of scary, right? And that's the problem, is we're in a society where we feel as though we need to be eating less, and oftentimes we need to be eating more to lose that body fat. So then on top of that, if we are active, and I'm using moderately active, like most CrossFitters, if you guys, or how many people in here do CrossFit, right? Most of you guys do, right? So moderately active, somewhere from 3 to 5 times a week, right? That's going to put you at about 1.55 of whatever your BMR is. So if you have that number, like if it's, 3,000, and you work out 3 to 5 times a week pretty hard, that's going to put you at about 4,500-ish calories. Right? Sounds like a lot, right? That's about where I'm at. So, yeah, I'm at 230 pounds. So that's about where I'm at. So that's to maintain. Obviously, if you're healthy, you need to drop that a little bit. But typically only drop like 15 to 20%. Anything more than that is not really smart, because it's too drastic of a change. it's hard on our thyroid, it's hard on all of our hormones, and then we have negative reactions to that. So that's why when we see people that go out on benders and they're eating like crap, and all of a sudden they're like, you know what, I'm gonna do really good. And you eat like ice and celery for like 3 weeks. That's why you see that initial drop off. You're like, well, I lost 40 pounds in a day. And then you die, right? So that's the reason. You have to do it slowly. You also have to add slowly. Okay, so, and that is the reason why we're not going to take the best approach right now. We're going to take the healthiest approach to get a drastic result for these 5 weeks. But I cannot encourage you guys enough to, in this meal plan, because you guys are actually going to write your own meal plan today, okay? In this meal plan, after these 5 weeks is up, I highly encourage you guys to either, shameless plug, hire us to do it, or do it yourself. And I'm going to give the power to you so you don't have to have us do it, right? So I don't want you to think that I'm trying to pitch myself to you guys. I'm going to give you that power right now if you're willing to do the work. All right? So let's move on from that. Again, you guys can keep working on it if you're not quite done with it or whatever. Macros. So let me move up. You guys want me to keep that up? Or are you good? Does anybody still need that? Good? Leave it up?
Leave it up.
Okay, cool. So, macros. This is how much protein, how much fat, how much carbohydrates I should take in, right? So, this is different for everybody. Again, you're going to notice there's really few universal truths. You can be on a high protein diet or a low protein diet. You can be high carb, low carb, high fat, low fat. You can be low of 2 of them, high of 1 of them, high of 2 of them, low of 1 of them. All those ratios work, and they can be healthy diets, right? But if our goal is to one specific direction as far as body composition and performance goes, there are better decisions for most people. Now, yes, it's true, people respond to carbohydrates, fats, and proteins differently. Some people need more or less than others. The problem is that we don't know that until we try these things, right? So it's always best to start with a fairly safe ratio of all of them and not go off the rocker, like on a Whole30 or keto, where we're having no carbohydrates at all, or on a vegetable cleanse where we're having no protein at all, or something like that, right? Unless we kind of know where we're at. So, how much protein do we need? Typically, for a safe diet to start out with, I would say for females and males, both, anywhere between 0.7 grams of carbs per pound of body weight, all the way up to 1.5 grams of protein, I'm sorry, I'm talking about carbs, of protein per pound of body weight. All right, now that's a pretty big scale. So put things into perspective. If you're 200 pounds, that could be anywhere from, what is that, 140 grams of carb, or protein, I keep saying carbs, of protein, all the way up to 300 plus grams of protein. Okay? So that's a big range. Now, what does protein do? Show here, anybody?
Build muscle.
Yeah, right? Well, it is the building block for muscle. We have to synthesize that protein to make it into muscle, and we only do that through having testosterone and things like that, right? And that's a whole nother discussion. But protein, when you think about that, it's focusing on building muscle, recovering the muscle, right? Fats. How much fat should you have? To be safe, you would generally take the same amount of calories of protein that you have. So let's say if you have 1,500 calories worth of protein, you're going to take the same amount of calories in fat. Here's a kicker though. If you guys are talking about macros, 1 gram of protein is not equal to 1 gram of fat. Does anybody know how many calories is in 1 gram of protein? 4, very good. You know how many fat? Over 2 times the amount, right? So if you're taking in 200 grams of protein, you should be somewhere around, what is it, 80, does that sound right? No, 85, I can't do the math in my head, something like that, 90 grams of fat. Does that make sense to everybody? I know I'm doing math out in the air and I'm not writing it down. I'm sorry. But you get that? So if you're taking in this much protein, and you go by the calories, you're going to take about half that amount of grams in fat. Then carbohydrates, you simply put however many carbohydrates are left in your TDEE. Right? I mean, because you're not going to take more, because then you're going to be above your total daily energy expenditure. So technically right now, you guys could figure out your baseline macros with what I just gave you. Okay? We're not going to stop to do that. Right? We're going to do that later. But does everybody get that? Is everybody tracking me here? Because like I said, later on, I am going to give you guys a quiz. We are going to write a meal plan once I give you all this information. I'm going to hope that you're going to write a meal plan, right? At the end. So, all right, moving on. Where are we at? Oh, we're doing good. All right, so we talked about the calories. We talked about the macros. We're going to hit up timing a little bit. Timing. So, if we have X amount of, say, carbohydrates in the day, we're going to want to put our carbohydrates around the time of day that we're the most active. Does anybody know why that is? Well, absolutely. Carbohydrates, contrary to what many people believe, are the body's preferred source for fuel. That doesn't mean that's the only thing it uses as fuel. Your body can turn fat into carbohydrates by a process called glyconeogenesis, right? But it does it at a metabolic and hormonal cost, okay? So, now when we go into ketosis, side note, when you go into ketosis, your body gets better at turning fat into energy, and that's why a lot of people do that. You burn a lot of fat, blah, blah, blah. But again, there's still metabolic cost that happens, and if you're active, like you are in here, it is not the smartest thing to do in the world to be on a keto diet. How many of you guys have tried a keto style diet? Yeah. So just out of curiosity, in your keto style diet, were you doing like by macros?
It was years ago. Yeah, I was doing
Pretty much by macros. Do you have like, how many carbohydrates do you think you were having a day?
somewhere around 300.
Well, if you're on keto, it wouldn't be 300. No, it's totally cool. No, totally cool. Totally cool. Is anybody? No. So the reason why I asked is that a lot of people believe they are on a keto style diet, and maybe you were taking the 300. I don't know, but a lot of people believe they're on a keto style diet, but they're taking in 50 to 60 grams of carbohydrates a day, and they're taking in a lot of protein, and their body isn't ever even getting into ketosis. Okay? So, and if that's not happening, then you're really screwing your metabolism up. Because if your body isn't able to get into ketosis, man, your body's only source of fuel is glycogen, and it's having to turn fat into that, and it's having to work extra hard. It's like taking on a second job that doesn't pay any money. Right? That's exactly what it's like. So, we need carbohydrates around our most active times of day. So, when would be the smartest time of day to take in your most carbohydrates? Post-workout, good one. Somebody else want to say? Morning, good idea. Pre-workout, absolutely. Those are all three right? We should be waking up in the morning. If you're the type of person that has to get up in the morning, go to work, you have an active job, you should be taking in some carbohydrates, okay? If you work out first thing in the morning, you should be taking carbohydrates in before, potentially during, depending on how long your workout is, and then afterwards. This is so your body can restore the glycogen cells that it's depleting when you're working out. Okay? Because if you deplete your glycogen stores in your muscle and you don't replenish them, you start burning muscle. And I don't think does anybody in here, is that your goal, to burn muscle, lose muscle? Okay, I didn't think so. Might be some people. like those like models, like skinny fat, whatever. But none of you guys look like that. So, not saying you don't look like models. I'm just saying, not the one. You want to be skinny fat? Hey, I'd rather be fat. Absolutely, dude. You know what? I just say if like when I'm fat, I'm just saying like I'm a powerlifter. It's okay. I'm an off-season bodybuilder. We're supposed to be fluffy on the off-season, right? So,
That's my excuse.
so yeah. As long as what's funny is that when you're able to get lean and you know how to get lean, you're actually more comfortable when you are fat. You're like, yeah, it's cool. I can get there if I want. It's fine. I've been there, done that. So that's carbohydrates. Carbohydrate priority should be mostly around, and how much? I would say like 70% of your carbohydrate intake should be around your training or your most active time of day. Okay? So you can kind of write that down. That'll help you guys when you're doing your meal plan. Protein sources. Does anybody know when you should be eating protein?
Every minute.
Absolutely, yeah. All those are right. You should have a consistent amount of protein throughout the day. Okay? There's a couple reasons for that. If we dump all of our protein into one portion of the day, it's going to spike our insulin in a negative way, right? And that can create insulin resistance. I know that sounds crazy, but protein does spike your insulin anytime you eat, all right? It's also taking in large amounts of that is difficult on your liver, all right? So spreading however many grams of protein you need out through a day, if you're eating 5-6 times a day, you need to be spreading that out as equally as possible, so that might look like, for girls, that might look like anywhere from 2 to 5 ounces of some type of meat or whatever a day. For guys, that might be anywhere between 4 to 10 ounces of protein a day, right? Depending on what your goals are, your body weight, your activity level, and all that kind of stuff. So consistency. What about fats? That's what's left over. Anybody know when we should be having fats? That's a little bit of a tough one. It's a little bit of a tough one because you can play with that quite a bit. Depending on what your goals are, you can have no fats in the morning and move more to fats in the evening as your carbohydrate goes down. So you have this kind of look, right? Like when we're in the evening, unless you're working out at 10 o'clock at night, you're not as active, right? So you can have less carbohydrates, you can have more fats, right? However, if you have, like, say, a job where you have to be mentally, like, first thing in the morning, you've got to be on, I would highly recommend dumping a lot of fat into your first meal of the day because that's going to promote good brain function. And when I say fat, I don't mean go get, like, sausage and, like, bacon and eat that because that's not the good fat that we want. I'm talking about good fats that are going to help you with brain function. We're going to get that next. All right, so it could be different times, but typically, for what most of you guys' goals are, I would say a little bit less fat in the morning, a little bit more fat in the evening as the carbohydrates go down. All right, so that's kind of how we talk about it. Now, the one thing about fat is that if you are having a huge thing, you're trying to keep muscle and all that kind of stuff, your post-workout meal, I like to call the Viking meal, because you have like a 30-minute window or something like that, depending on it could be anywhere from 5 minutes to 3 hours, depending on who you ask. But there's not, there's not a whole lot of conclusive evidence to say anything specific. But we call it the Viking meal because you can eat whatever the heck you want, and your body is so responsive to it. It's going to absorb whatever that is to help your body replenish. So if you're gonna have steak and potato or French fries, or if you're gonna have a free meal or a cheat meal that day, the best time to do it is immediately after your workout because your body's gonna use it the best, okay? That's not giving you free reign to go hop open like a half gallon of Breyers and down it right after working out. Maybe after the challenge, when we're, in bulk season, it's cold outside. So, not that. You what?
Straight out of the womb, bulk season.
Yeah, I call it permabulk. Yeah. I'm gonna permabulk.
Came out of the womb with bulk season.
That's all. I like that. So, okay. So the thing that we didn't talk about yet, that's not on the macros, but I add in is fiber. All right. I call that like the 4th macronutrient, even though it's not listed in most calculators and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into fiber a whole lot. Just know that it's more important than you think. However important you think it is, it's more important than that, right? Fiber can literally change, the lack of or proper fiber can literally change your entire gut biome. Like all the microorganisms. And 90% of our body's inflammation and disease comes from our gut. So if we're not taking care of our gut, all the pills and all the stuff, you can take all the steroids in the world that you want to, for that matter, and you're gonna be jacked up, okay? So get your fiber in. How much? It depends on how many calories you're taking in. But I would generally say somewhere 20 to 50 grams of fiber a day, depending on how big you are in that spectrum. You're probably not gonna take in too much fiber. If you start taking in too much, you'll know, because you're not going to be able to get much done throughout the day. Okay? But know this. If you're healthy, you should be taking 3 well-formed bowel movements a day.
3.
How many of you guys are taking 3? 7. There you go. It's good. Yeah? Look. Proud of, you get proud of that, right? You talk about somebody proud of bowel movements? My wife.
If y'all have issues, come see me afterwards. I'll change your life.
She's like, when she figured out how to fix her gut and how to start getting bowel movements, you know how girls are like, a lot of girls are like really bad. No, she's like a brand new Christian spreading the gospel. Right? She's like walking up, she's like, I see you have some Miralax in your cabinet. I'm so glad that I had a chance to meet you. I'm about to change your life. Come with me. And I'm not kidding. She's done that before. So, but guys, fiber is super, super important, okay? So, you're not going to get enough of it. So, we need to find foods that are high in fiber. Now, and that brings us to the next thing, quality. So, quality of food. We're going to talk about a couple different things here. I'm going to have to read off the definitions here so I don't get it wrong. But all right, so how many people know what GI and GL means? Well, yeah, technically G could be gastrointestinal, yeah. But I'm talking about the glycemic index and GL load. Good. Glycemic index and glycemic load. Those are two things to explain to us how much of food affects our insulin and our blood sugar, okay? So, to give you an idea, foods that are very low in fiber and very high in sugar are gonna have a very bad glycemic index, a high glycemic index. And foods that are high in fiber and low in sugar and don't spike our insulin as much will have a very low glycemic index and load. All right, that's super simplifying it. So if any of you guys are like sitting up here and telling me like, Justin, it's not that easy, I understand. But it's really all you need to know for what we're doing today. You guys can always go geek out on this. I can send you hundreds of articles if you want to learn more. So the glycemic index tells you how quickly foods contain carbohydrates affect your blood sugar when eaten by themselves. Okay? The glycemic load is a little bit different. To calculate that, you take your glycemic index and it's multiplied by the grams of carbohydrates and divided by 100. You don't need to know that, don't worry about it. All right, because we're going to go over the actual qualities of all the foods, right? But just know that something like a banana and a grape are completely different than blueberries, right? I know they're both fruit. And although fruit's healthy, Justin, not necessarily. All right? Not necessarily for your purpose. Are bananas healthy? Yes. If you eat a buttload of bananas every day, are you going to be able to get lean? Not unless you're already lean. Okay? By the way, side note, if you are already lean, it's like the rich get richer, right? It's if you're already lean, you can kind of do whatever the hell you want to. Like if you're genetically gifted and you just kind of get by, like if your parents had money, as long as you don't screw up hardcore, you're good, right? But some of us are born very poor and we have to work hard for what we get. Okay? And that's the way this works. So we're going to talk about, that's the glycemic index, glycemic load. Unless anybody really feels like they want to dump into it more, I'm not going to go much more into it. But what I am going to do is now I'm going to go over our fats. Right? So fats. Fat makes you fat, right?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Fat can make you fat.
Good and bad.
When you eat a lot of fat and you combine it with a lot of carbohydrates, absolutely fat makes you fat. But fat itself does not make you fat. As a matter of fact, our bodies have to have fat. We have to have cholesterol or we will die. So when we worry about lowering our cholesterol, we're not actually worried about lowering our cholesterol. We're worried about lowering the small, dense particles of our cholesterol. It's completely different. So, and again, it's something we don't have to get into. But I want to talk about fats. I want to talk about types of fat. We have omega-3 fatty acids. We have omega-6 fatty acids. Most of the foods that we have in our typical diet, like an American diet, are going to be very high in omega-6s. All right? Now we want a good ratio, just like with macros, of omega-3s, omega-6s, omega-9s, and all these profiles. So you do need omega-6s. The problem is that if you eat a typical diet and you eat out, you eat processed foods and things like that, something in a box, you are eating way too much omega-6s. So your ratio, or common ratio for most humans nowadays, is like 1 to 50 of 3s to 6s. That's not good. It should be more like 1 to 2. Okay, so how can we do that? We can either A, cut out omega-6s, or we can add omega-3s, or we can do both, right? And we do that by choosing our fats properly. All right, so what kind of fat has bad fats in it? What kind of foods have bad fats in it?
Donut.
Fried chicken, there you go. What's that? Greasy food.
All the good ones.
Yeah, all the fun ones. All the ones that you can get cheaply and in under like 2 minutes. Right? All the things that come easily are not the things that you want. So, things like Doritos, stuff like that. And here's what happens is that the food industry has created a very, very easy way to make these things last long on the shelf life. And they do that by something called hydrogenation. So partially hydrogenated soybean oil, partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, all these things, if you see that on the back of it, that's basically a $5 word for trans fat, okay? Which is bad. We do not want that. It's been linked to so many different things, not just destroying our gut biome and making us fat and unhealthy, but I mean like cancer, like serious stuff, right? So we do want to stay away from that as much as we possibly can. We do want fats though, and we actually do need omega-6s. We need medium chain triglycerides and things like coconut oil, avocado, almond butters, healthy fats from red meat, and things like that. Those are all great fats that we do need and we should not exclude from our diet. Yes, I'm telling you it's okay to eat red meat. It's okay to eat a hamburger every once in a while. The bread, you know, we'll talk about it in a minute. It's okay to have potatoes, for that matter. Probably not French fries. Why? Because they cook it in peanut oil that has been burned and turned it into trans fat. So the oil isn't a bad deal. Peanut oil is not necessarily a super bad thing. Almond oil is not necessarily a bad thing. When you cook it to the point that it goes rancid, which is a pretty low temperature for most nut oils and stuff like that, it turns into trans fat. And then you're just screwing your body over, giving yourself cancer. So we want to have good fats. All right, so next, let's go into protein. So protein sources is a little bit different because it incorporates the fats. The protein source quality is more about the fats that are in it. So we have high fat protein, we have low fat protein, and all of those things are going to, well basically they're going to depend on how much good fats we can get from other sources, right? So if you eat a buttload of red meat, that's great, but you're not going to have a whole lot of room of fat left in your diet to get it from other sources. Does that make sense? So if you're trying to make sure that you keep good fat, you keep good fiber in your diet, having a little bit of a lower protein source, a lower fat protein source is probably a better decision. Okay, so now that I've gone over the proteins, the fats, and the carbs, I'm going to do one more thing to show you guys, I'm going to have you guys kind of pick the best ones. We're going to sort those out. We'll have a little break, all right? A little bathroom break for everybody. So let's do this. Uh-oh. Yep. Is that still going on?
Uh-huh.
That's nice.
I mean, I've already had to press it once.
Have it. Don't ask them, but does anybody have questions that they've written down yet? I'm hoping we have at least a couple. I'll feel bad if I have either 1,000 or none. Okay. What do I do with that? There it is. All right. So we are going to go over the different qualities of foods. We want to list them kind of like the best option to like the worst option. All right. When I say worst option, I'm not going to put on like Twinkies or stuff like that. I want you guys to try and think about high quality food. But even at the high quality of foods, so for protein, in other words, we're going to go for the lowest fat source of protein to the highest fat source. For fats, we're going to go the best amount of fiber in the fat and the best quality of omega-6s and fats in that. And then for the carbohydrates, we're going to go the carbohydrates that are the least impactful on your insulin down to the most impactful. Does that make sense? So let's start with protein. Protein is the easy one. Somebody give me a low fat source of protein. What's that? Whitefish. Whitefish, very good. That's probably the least fatty. Horrible. My mom said I should be a doctor, by the way, because of my handwriting. So I apologize. So that's a good one. Somebody else said, let's say turkey, right? That's a very good one. Here's the deal though with turkey. You can get 99% fat-free turkey, right? What also can you get? 75% fat-free turkey. That's really fatty. That's like worse than sausage, right? So when we say turkey, we're gonna have to put an asterisk. I'll put turkey up there, but we're gonna put an asterisk by it because turkey can come in 85-15, 90-10, 93-7, 97-3, 99%. And we're going to want to utilize all of those. There'll be times in your meal plan where you're going to want more fats and you're going to want to have that 85% turkey. There's also going to be times where you're going to want that 99% turkey, fat-free. Okay? So what's some other ones? Chicken. Staple for the bodybuilders, right? Good old, anybody ever seen that video of Ronnie? When he's like, what, Ronnie Coleman, like Mr. Olympia 8-time, one of the greatest bodybuilders, just eating, like what he eats on a daily basis. He's just got like an entire tub of chicken. He's putting like Masterpiece barbecue on. He's like, good old chicken. He has to tell himself that it's good because he eats 7 pounds of it a day.
Better you put it in a blender.
So, you what?
Better put it in
This
a
guy,
blender.
yeah, or you could be like Paul and just blend your turkey up and eat it like, I don't even know.
Oh gosh.
I don't even know if that's a good decision like on like a chemical level. I don't even know. I've got to look into that. When he told me that, I'm like, I don't do some research to make sure you're not going to get cancer from this. I don't know what's going to happen. So cool. So that's about right. So what about chicken? We got the whitefish. Now, by the way, guys, whitefish could mean like haddock. It could mean tilapia. It could mean swai. It could mean give me some other whitefish. I'm drawing a blank. What? Cod, yeah, that's another whitefish, right? So if you're wondering what all whitefishes are, you just Google it, right? So turkey, chicken, what else?
Salmon.
Salmon, that's a very good one. It's very good fat profile, but it is very fatty. It is significantly fatter. So things like salmon, which is not bad, right? Salmon has, especially if it's wild caught, it has a super high amount of omega-3s. Now, if it's farm raised, it's fed feces and grain, like tilapia. Yeah, but tilapia has less fat. But tilapia, by the way, is like the cockroach in the city. I would never recommend somebody use tilapia. You can pull up some articles, and it's like, yeah, you'll never eat it again. It's like those articles when you see like the chickens like from like KFC and stuff. They got like 12 heads and 70 pounds. All right, so salmon, we'll actually put salmon underneath underneath chicken. And by the way, with salmon, that could also mean like anchovies. It could mean a lot of certain tuna, right? Is gonna be higher in fat. And then up here also a really, really good one. One of my favorites is sea bass, Chilean sea bass, as far as taste goes. It's expensive. I typically, most of my athletes, if you guys are in here, I'll have you do for whitefish, I recommend what? Swai. Yeah, swai, because it's very, very cheap and it's very unfishy tasting, right? Because that's one of the #1 protein complaints that I get is people like, I can't eat any more fish. Right? Are you laughing? Lisa, was that you? I forget who it was. One of you guys in here were like, I can't do fish anymore. So we had to cut it back. So, let's keep on going. What after salmon?
Red meat.
Red meat? There you go. Absolutely. Red meat, ground beef,
Ribeye.
yeah, ribeyes, stuff like that. Fattier cuts. Now again, with ground beef, it's the same thing as turkey, right? You can get 75-25 ground beef, or you can get 99% free ground beef, all right? So any meat, like turkey or ground beef, that's 90% lean or above, would be considered a lean meat, all right? A fairly lean meat. Anything below that is going to be considered a fatty meat, right? So we'll just put red meat down there. All right, what about dairy? Is that a protein? Technically, it's a protein, but there is protein in it, but a very low amount for the fat ratio. So, and because of the lactose intolerance that we all have, we'll have a little bit, even if it doesn't like bother us. It bothers us. I don't typically have people go on dairy if their goal is to get lower body fat, right? I don't typically have that. Now, if you're an athlete and your goal is to maintain, or you're trying to put on size, and you don't, and dairy doesn't bother you, man, eat the crap out of it, for sure. But we're not going to put that up here. Something that is there though is whey protein. All right, and that is, as long as you get it from a good source and a good brand, it is a very, very good option for your meal plan, especially if you're the type of person that doesn't like eating, right? I mean, like a lot of food, right? Like, you know, if you're the type of person that's like, we typically we can. Are you pointing at her? Oh, I thought you were calling her out. She's like, she doesn't like meat. She's a bird. So basically we want to make sure that we add protein in, but whey protein powders are never going to be as good of a decision as food. But to get the extra protein in, it is a good decision. Now, something we didn't talk about, eggs. Are eggs a high-fat source or a low-fat source? Yeah, it's a trick question. Are you eating the yolk or not? Whole egg is a high-fat source. There is 5 grams of fat for every 6 grams of protein in whole egg. So almost a 1-to-1 ratio. Right? But if you take that yolk out, 0 fat. So even less than whitefish. So we're going to put that over here. Yeah, a lot of egg whites are always good. But now here's the deal. Here's the caveat. Egg whites are more difficult to process than proteins that have fat in it. If you just have the egg whites, it is more difficult for your body to process. So if you eat an egg white, you don't want to just eat egg whites. You need to eat it with some other source of food, potentially something with some type of fat, some type of fiber in it. Okay? So just having egg whites only in the morning, it's not a good decision. Egg whites, almond butter, and oatmeal, pretty good decision. All right? So in addition, the micronutrients, which is something that we didn't go over, but remember I told you they're super important. You get them from greens and stuff like that. There are a lot of really awesome, important micronutrients in the whole egg. So I would love for you guys to be eating whole eggs, as long as you can make it fit in your profile, your meal plan, and you're still within that range. It's a good choice for fat. Great choice for fat. All right? So speaking of fats, give me some.
Almond butter.
Almond butter, okay. I'm not really going to put these in any order. We're just going to put it out. Lard, okay. I don't typically put that in meal plans, but you know what though? Honestly, lard is not the worst source of fat. It's better than margarine. right? Country crock. All right. What else we got? Avocado. Avocado is super high in fat, and it's also high in what? Fiber. One of the highest fiber foods, man. Avocado is a superfood for that reason. Okay, it actually has carbohydrates in it too, believe it or not. It's carbs in it. It's a very good, well-rounded food. What else? Coconut oil. Very good. I'm putting cocoa oil in there. I don't mean like melted chocolate, okay? What else?
Things like flaxseed, chia seed.
Flaxseed, chia seeds, yeah, different seeds.
Like fish oil? Like legumes.
Legumes are not a fat. I hope you know that. All right. I heard somebody say fish oil. I'm not going to put, fish oil is absolutely right, but I'm not going to put that because we talked about it here. Right? So that would be in the supplement side of things, which we're going to go. If you're actually taking fish oil, it'll be in the supplement unless you're getting it from food. So what else? Anybody think of anything else?
Nuts.
Nuts, okay. We said almond butter there. We just put nuts. Olive oil.
Should it be extra virgin? Does that matter?
Do what?
Should it be extra virgin? Does that matter?
So it depends on the, it more depends on the temperature. So you would look for like a cold press, because if it's been brought to a certain temperature, it can be rancid. And then again, that goes in the trans fat. Okay. Pretty good decisions there, I think. Again, we have, the fats are a difficult one because we're getting fats from our protein, salmon, eggs, stuff like that, right? All right, and then carbohydrates. Here's a fun one. Elisa's got like 6 more out. If anybody wants them, she's got some in there. In case somebody noticed, we were running behind today. We were gonna get some food, and she thought, it's not her fault. I'm not throwing her under the bus. She thought we were gonna go somewhere to eat, and she's gonna get something to eat.
I was gonna make a much better
And we didn't
decision.
have time, so we ran by a place called Tasty Donuts, and she got some apple fritters. And I storied it. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I storied her, and I was like, "What are you eating?" Donuts. I was like, "Where are we going?" To a nutrition seminar. I was like, "Are you going to the seminar?
You
Are
also
coaching
get
it? What are you
one
doing?"
free meal a week. Can I just say
Listen, we'll
that?
get into that. Yeah, we'll get into that. So let's talk about some carbs. Let's make it broad. So you said donuts, we say bread, right? It's bread. So we're gonna put that kind of down here.
Yeah.
Because we talk about gluten, right? Most of you guys know gluten's the devil, right? Okay? It's not always the devil. If you have celiac disease, it literally is the devil. It can kill you, right? We all have some type of gluten intolerance. But as I said at the beginning of this, nothing is universal truth. There are certain times where we might be able to eat pastas and breads and things like that if it doesn't bother us and we can stay healthy. As long as we keep it in the right time area and as long as we keep it to the right amount. Okay, so I'm going to put bread down there, but I'm going to actually put down here what I typically have my clients do for gluten issues is what? Ezekiel bread, yeah. So that is sprouted bread. And if you, so if you eat a lot of bread and you go to eat it, you're like, this is horrible. But if you've been on a meal plan and haven't had bread in a while, and somebody tells you you can have Ezekiel bread, like, this is life. Like, it's literally that good. They make a raisin bread, Ezekiel bread, put almond butter on it. Come on, get out of town. All right, so we're going to put bread down there. We're going to put it a little bit lower, though. What else? Sweet potatoes. Good one. Good one. So, now, sweet potato is one of those ones that it is a little bit lower on the glycemic index. We'll put that up here pretty high. Potato. What else?
Rice, oatmeal.
Rice. Now, rice, there are different kinds of rice, right? And different rices have different glycemic indexes. And it's easier or harder for us to digest. So brown rice, you guys don't know this, brown rice is a typical, all rice kind of starts as brown rice. Right now there's a germ, there's a shell on the outside of that, and that's the rice's safety mechanism, right? Like we have our fists to fight with. Its only means of survival is after it's already been eaten, which kind of sucks, right? But what it does is that germ gets in there and it destroys the gut biome. Not actually destroying it like sugar or something like that, but it can irritated. So while brown rice is a good source, it's higher in fiber, it takes longer to digest because of that. Some people, it can actually upset their stomach. So if you're the type of person like, I can't have rice, it blows me up, I can't do it, I get bloated, try a white rice. Because a white rice, like a jasmine, is just rice that germ's been unshelled, all right? So it typically doesn't bother people as much. So we're gonna put rice up there. I'm gonna put it up high because I really like rice as a carbohydrate. I think it's a great source. But we're gonna put, that doesn't stand for wall ball. It stands for white and brown, not white and black here. No racism. All right, so we got rice, got sweet potato, we got bread down here. What else? Fill in the gaps, guys. Oatmeal is a good one, yeah. Quinoa, that's a good one. Now, oatmeal. Does oatmeal bother your stomach? Here's a common misconception. A lot of people think oatmeal has gluten in it. Doesn't. Does not. A lot of people avoid oatmeal because they're worried about it because it's on like not the paleo diet or whatever. But I've coached hundreds of people. I'm not saying that there aren't people that oatmeal can upset their stomach on because it is still kind of like a grain type food. I've never had anybody that has any bloating issues, any gut issues, or anything else with oatmeal. Also, really cool thing about oatmeal, it's got more fiber in it than almost any other type of like that like starchy kind of or grainy food. Super high fiber. I like to use oatmeal a lot. Also very slow to digest. Right, so oatmeal, and then let's see, what else we got? We got
Red potatoes.
Sweet potatoes.
not like white potatoes, red potatoes? Absolutely, yeah. Sweet potato casserole works as long as there's not marshmallows and brown sugar in it, which means it's not sweet potato casserole. So, but there is a little trick that I came up with a stevia sweetener and some cinnamon that you mash the sweet potatoes. I made some of my clients, I made a video for it or whatever. It is life, right? Yeah, amazing, amazing. So, all right, so we got that. Anything else? What are we missing, guys? Pasta, yeah, we'll put the pasta down there kind of with bread. I'm not going to typically give, none of you guys are going to be choosing pasta for your meal plans right now because you're not bulking, right? And I would typically only give people pasta if they're trying to either maintain their high-level athlete and they're going for performance and not aesthetics, or if they're in a bulking phase like a bodybuilder, I would give them that, right? But there are great pastas out there. I have been known to give people pastaroni or have them go get chicken Alfredo after a workout or something like that. Absolutely, it depends on your goal. So again, no universal truth. For you guys though, we're going to keep it out because it can irritate the gut. It is high gluten, and it's not going to help you lose weight. All right. What? I was going to say, you know what? Maybe in May, we should be doing it opposite. We should be doing it like bulk right now while everybody's got coats on, and then we'll do the lean challenge. We'll think about that maybe next year. All right.
You got veggies,
Veggies, there we go. That should be like all the way up here, right? As a matter of fact, I'm going to start a whole different column for non-starch food. So veggies, and we're going to put fruits too. Right, so this is same thing. All right, so what kind of veggies are you talking about?
broccoli, spinach.
Broccoli. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to give a caveat to these vegetables. Vegetables can upset your stomach, right? A lot of people aren't bothered by broccoli, but it can upset your stomach. So I have had plenty of clients that we choose something like a green bean or a spinach or something like that instead of getting your nutrients from the green veggies from that. But yeah, so let's say broccoli. Let's say, I said spinach already. Asparagus, yes. Spinach has a lot, and spinach and green beans have a lot of fiber in it, by the way, as well.
Not that kind of.
Green beans. Yeah, not the green beans with like bacon on it. Although that's delicious. You what? Yeah, exactly. So broccoli, spinach, green beans, asparagus. So asparagus actually is a natural diuretic. So if we're holding water and we want to cut water at the end, which you guys will be doing towards the end, asparagus is probably the number one. Write this down. This is important because you guys will be choosing this. Asparagus is the number one thing that I would just destroy constantly at every single meal at the end of this when we're trying to get our bodies as low water as we possibly can, because we retain a lot of water. It's a natural diuretic. I'm not going to have you guys take any diuretics because that's unhealthy, but if we eat a buttload of asparagus, it would do the same thing on a healthy basis, right? So, yeah, broccoli can upset us. So let's talk about, those are all good ones. Let's talk about some fruits.
Berries.
Berries, yeah, probably berries would be at the top of the glycemic index or glycemic load. And berries are all of them: black, blue, ras, strawberry. I would stay away from, I would go to strawberries last only because of the way they're produced, and there's a lot of GMOs in most strawberries, unless you do buy them organic. Typically, that's why berries are so much more expensive, right? Because they're not as easy for the big, big companies to make. Grapes, yeah, so grapes.
No, grapefruit.
Oh, grapefruit is a great one, absolutely. True story about grapefruit. If you eat grapefruit and you don't think it's sweet, you have too much sugar in your diet. Who in here doesn't like grapefruit? You got too much sugar in your diet. When you take that sugar out and you get to the point and you start eating grapefruit, it will taste like an orange to you. I promise you. Once you change your gut biome, and once you change your butt biome, I don't even know what that is. That's like it's a new dance. So somebody write that. That's a hashtag. So once you change that, it will change the way. And I can tell you that from personal experience, and I can tell you that from multiple clients. They're like, I hated grapefruit. Now it's like my favorite thing first thing in the morning, right? So, but it does. You have to get rid of it. Grapefruit. Also, a little bit, something I didn't tell you guys. So things like broccoli, and we didn't put like celery down there or whatever. Broccoli, celery, cabbage, and a couple other foods actually take more calories to burn than are in them. You get what I'm saying? So in other words, if you were to only eat broccoli and cabbage for the rest of your life, you would die of starvation. Doesn't matter how much you eat. Your body burns more calories processing it than is actually in the vegetable. So, for that reason, I know I have broccoli at the top. I would probably not make that my first choice, just because of the nutrients and the amount of time in the body. Until we get towards the end and we're really trying to, get as lean as we can. So we got grapefruit. What else? Let's get some more fun ones up here.
Apple.
Apples, very good one. Lots of fiber in apples. What else?
Mango.
Mango, cool. Oranges. What's that? Oranges, yep. Citrusy, a little bit higher on the glycemic index, but not a bad choice.
Oh, wow.
And then we get, let's say, like banana.
What about like cantaloupe?
Yep. And melons, just in general. Grapes. Grapes are not a berry. Has anybody seen that video of that Asian dude? Like, I have a pen, I have an apple, I have a pen, apple, pineapple. You know what I'm talking about? It's the stupidest video in the world. All right, anyway, sorry. So, as far as specific indexes, the ones that I would stick to would be berries, grapefruits, apples. These are not bad, but this stuff right here, I would say is probably a less intelligent decision for what we're going for. Pineapples, I take out there because pineapples have a lot of really awesome little special micronutrients in it that other ones don't. So while it's probably my favorite fruit, maybe I'm just saying that because I'm biased, I'm trying to come up with an excuse, but there are some really cool things in there. However, I would choose any type of berry, apple, or grapefruit before I choose pineapple. Okay? So I think that's it. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a little break and let you guys, if anybody hasn't got fat tested, go to the bathroom, you got food, water. So all we're going to do right now is I'm going to go over a couple different things. I'm going to go over supplements, which is that last piece, really quick. We're going to go over free meals. which is what I call not cheat meals. He's excited about it. Everybody gets excited about free meals. And then I'm going to go over really quickly, just mention something about additional cardiovascular respiratory endurance training to help us for this 5-week process or whatever, right? And then I'm going to let you guys, first of all, ask any questions that you have, and I'll answer them. And then I'm going to have you guys write your own meal plan, right? If we don't feel confident enough to write your meal plan, just do the best you can. Any questions that you have for it, tell me. And I'm going to be here as long as I need to help everybody with it. Because remember, like I said, you don't have to do this. You don't have to go on this. I'm going to give you the amounts of foods to eat, when to eat them, and all that stuff. That's what I'm doing for you guys. But I want to empower you guys to be able to have the knowledge to do this to where you don't have to always pay somebody to do it if you just flat out can't afford it. Is it better to have a coach to give you direction and accountability? Absolutely. Absolutely. Obviously, that's what I do for a living. But if that's not something that you can do, this is the next best thing. So I'm trying to get my knowledge out to you guys. So I hope you appreciate it, and I hope you use it. So let's talk about supplements. Does everybody have this?
Yes.
By the way, you're going to have an approved foods list on that I'm going to send to you guys that you can pick from. But I'm not going to give you this is the best choice. You're going to get to pick from it yourself. So that knowledge that you gained from here today is important for that, right? You can make the decision to make your meals more tasty or better results, right? So, supplements. So, literally, what most people are the most concerned about and the least important thing in the entire diet process. So, this is not the Levi, you got it.
That's not the official eraser.
Yeah, but this is working better than the eraser. Just awkward.
Start cleaning.
Why I do this for the camera. It's mainly for Ben.
No point, Justin.
But
That's really no point.
I've been doing
I can tell.
Kegels.
It's volume now.
Mini Kegels. That's
It's fell in love again.
it's just,
So fast. So fast.
just because I get to wear board shorts on stage doesn't mean I don't train my booty. All right. So supplements. How many people in here have spent money on supplements? Okay. Yeah, I figured that. It's a stupid question, right? What do you guys think about when you think about supplements? How many people in here have done fat burners at some point in their life? Fat burner is basically anything with caffeine in it, honestly, even that. So technically coffee could be considered that, right? It's a catalyst, gets your heart rate at a higher rate. Anything that gets your heart rate at a higher rate. So fat burners is not something that I would recommend to anybody. I'm not going to go into why. Most of you probably already know. If you don't, just type into Google, why will fat burners kill me? And you'll get all kinds of stuff. All right, so what I am going to talk about today is the supplements that I feel have enough research behind them that are important enough for you to purchase if you have the money to do so. All right? And it's going to be based around things that help your metabolism and can help your food intake itself. So we talked about fish oil, somebody said that earlier, right? Things like that, things that are going to help supplement our food, right? Because that's the most important thing. You can take all the supplements in the world, eat wrong, you're gonna be fat, lazy, and die young, okay? So, let's talk about it. Let's go into, what do you guys think will be some good supplements? Just throw one out there.
Fish oil.
Yeah, I even said that, so that's good. It's a safe answer, right?
Milk thistle.
Milk thistle? I mean, if you're trying to recover your liver from copious amounts of steroids, absolutely.
Or alcohol.
Yeah, that's true. Or alcohol. I wouldn't recommend milk thistle for this challenge, but it's not a bad supplement. I'm not gonna put it up there for that. So, some of the things that we often don't get enough from for food when we're dieting, right? So like vitamins and things like that we wouldn't get food from when we are dieting, which is what you will be doing for the next 5 weeks. Things like vitamin C, right? That's a good one, especially for the amount of water that we're drinking. That's something I didn't go over. I'll talk about water in just a second. Super important. Good fats. So if we're talking about fish oil, we can talk about CLA. CLA is a fatty acid that is found in red meat. And oftentimes we can't have a lot of red meat in our diet. It's good to supplement with that, right? Like we said, if we're dieting, while red meat is great, it is something that we shouldn't be eating all the time if we're trying to lose a large amount of fat. Once, twice a week, stuff like that. So let's see. Another big one that I have a lot of people on, especially if they have trouble, they haven't eaten right, they have gut issues, they're not going to the bathroom a lot, will be digestive enzymes. Uh-oh. That's what you say when you take too many digestive enzymes. So digestive enzyme is just something that's going to help you with your digestion. It's going to help you be able to absorb the food easier, break it down, and it's going to mean that your body is less stressed with the food that you put onto it. So if you're the type of person that has a huge spike, drop in energy right after you eat, or you feel like you have trouble digesting your food, you're not going regularly, taking a digestive enzyme multiple times a day. Really, most of them, sometimes you can take them with a probiotic, which would be another one that I would put in there. I'll put a slash in there, probiotic. Those things are gonna help your digestion tremendously, which is super important. Fiber. We talk about fiber and how important it is. When you are dieting hardcore, that is another thing that is difficult to get enough of. And we didn't talk about it in there, we didn't list it, but there are some high fiber vegetables that you can throw in there. Things like mushrooms, and we talked about spinach and stuff like that. But it's still very hard to get a large amount of fiber in your diet when you are dieting. So, taking a fiber supplement, most of the people, when I put my athletes on fiber, which a lot of them are on it right now because of the holidays, I tend to give people a lot of extra fiber if they've been eating a lot of extra sugar to try and counteract it. It's like putting a Band-Aid on an axe wound, but it's, it's not bad. So we can do that. There's the one that I typically recommend is, what's it called, hon? Skinny Gut. It's called Skinny Gut Fiber. And none of this stuff, you notice I'm not giving you like names. Like I don't get paid by any of these guys, so I don't really care who you get it from. There are some, I would definitely recommend not to get anything from GNC and not to get anything from Walmart, because how many people saw the article that came out recently? Walmart got busted. I posted it. Walmart got busted. All the companies that sell them, and it's really Walmart's fault. It's not necessarily the company's fault, because the companies are trying to get sold to Walmart because that means they're going to get rich, right? But what they're doing is they're making their products have to be so cheap that these companies are cutting the products, like things like vitamin C or whatever, like L-theanine, all these products that cost money, they're cutting it with like nothing, like soy grass, like soy wheat and stuff like that. So when you buy milk thistle, because you just got done with the cycle, and you gotta make sure you don't, go into cirrhosis, and you buy it from Walmart, you still get cirrhosis, because you're just eating soy, okay? So it's horrible, right? Can you guys believe that? Like I mean, I already knew it. I knew it was happening, but the fact that someone came out and like there's an actual, like the FDA, like it got caught. Like that's crazy. So I recommend not getting anything from Walmart, not getting anything from GNC, because the same thing happened with GNC. I recommend going to local stores, and I recommend buying locally whenever you can from smaller companies, right? Technically, if it's more expensive, typically it means that they put the time and effort into doing it. Protein. We talked about whey protein in this. I'm going to put this under supplements because that's the number one thing that I would recommend all you guys do to supplement, because whey, specifically whey isolate, is good for two reasons. A, it digests super, super fast. And isolate digests faster than any other type of protein there is, other than actual branched chain amino acids, which I'll get in that in a second. And two, does anybody know why whey isolate is called whey isolate? Because they isolate the protein. You guys know whey is from milk, right? It's a dairy product, right? So the reason why we have dairy GI issues is because we have lactose intolerance. But the reason why we have lactose intolerance is because something called beta A1 casein that is found in pretty much all dairy now from poor processing of cows, like grains and all that stuff that's happened. So you can't, it's almost impossible to get, side note, almost impossible to get milk or dairy that doesn't have beta A1 casein in it. You have to like go to like Tibet and get like free range buffalo milk or something like that. So I could be wrong, don't quote me on that, but it's very difficult. So what happens with isolate is it actually isolates the protein from the fat. So when you look at a whey isolate, it's going to have extremely low fat content. Typically like 1 gram or less of fat for 30 grams of protein. So extremely lean protein source, extremely easy to digest. So if you're planning your meal plan around and you still have a lot of protein to take in, but all your fat's used up, all your carbs used up, and you've already eaten like 6 meals a day, protein shake isn't a bad idea. All right. Now, that being said, always choose real food first. Okay? And then that'll bring me, and speaking of this, like I said, buy locally. Any whey protein isolate is fine. Some of the brands that I like Dymatize, I like Optimum Nutrition, and I like the bigger, faster, leaner. I think Levi sells it here. So, is that, yeah.
Stronger, faster, healthier.
Stronger, faster, healthier. So, plug for Levi, help out local business. If you're going to buy it from him. Don't go buy Progenics or something like that, because it's way overpriced. It's not any better at all.
I read this article the other day about how Progenics how they
Oh, they're in some shady stuff.
Yeah.
I met the owner before.
Oh,
He was
really?
legit in the mafia.
Yeah.
Like Miami, like down in Miami. Super cool dude.
Yeah.
But like he's into some like really nefarious
that's
stuff.
why because CrossFit branched like the games and stuff.
Yeah, they pulled away from it.
away from Progenics because they said that it was just overpriced. It was overpriced crap.
Yeah, it's like twice as much as like a Dymatize, which
Yeah,
is just as
exactly.
good. Yeah.
Justin, name the other one again.
What's that?
What do you say, Dymatize?
Dymatize. Optimum Nutrition is like a big box brand one, but there have been studies that have proven that it actually has what they say it has in it. So like I know that one's safe too, right? So and then we'll get into branch chains, BCAAs. That's what that stands for, branch chain amino acids, and all that is they're branch chain amino acids in any protein that you have. Or wheys or anything like that. There's going to be branch chain amino acids in there. The reason why it's important to take branch chain amino acids is because those are actually the amino acids, the building blocks that are in protein. So that means that it's going to digest and get into your system much faster. So if you buy something that's called like a micronized or a hydrolyzed or anything like that, it says fast absorbing on it with branch chains, that means you can take it and it's literally absorbed in your body as fast as you drink water. All right, so why is that important? Because if you take it before you work out, during your workout, and after your workout, you're going to ensure that it's almost impossible for you to waste muscle. So if you're dieting hard and you're hitting everything really hard in the gym, branch chains are super important not to waste muscle. Now, the whole artificial sweetener thing, that's another conversation. So most branch chains have artificial sweetener in it. So I would highly recommend, and this is a pro tip for you guys, this is important. The last like week or so before, I would highly recommend cutting out anything that's sweet, right? Because that artificial sweetener is going to do a gigantic change to your body. You'll notice the difference. It's not changing anything but cutting out anything sweet, even if it's artificial. Stevia, Truvia, which will all be on your meal plans, you'll be able to use that. I'm not going to say that you can't do it. Like if you have to have stevia in your sweet potatoes or something like that, that's fine. But it's a better decision not to. You'll get much better results that last week. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. So, but branch chains, super important. Let's see, what else we got? What about carbohydrates? We haven't talked about that, right? We get carbohydrates with food, but sometimes it's better to have a spike for carbohydrates. Dextrose is a good one. There's a product called Carbolin that I tell all my athletes to get. Again, I know it's a product that has what it says in it with a K. I don't know the company that makes it, but you can just Google it.
I think it's called Carbolin.
Yeah, it's called Carbolin.
I mean-
I think it's made by a company though. I think that's a
I thought the
product
company
name.
was Carbolin.
Could be, it could be, it could be. Again, I'm not sponsored by any of these guys, you know, do the math. If you guys want, anytime you guys want to send me a product, be like, would this be a good one? Be more than happy to email you back and tell you, you know, yay or nay on it, okay? Gatorade. Believe it or not, around training, Gatorade at the beginning of this process, not a bad thing. It's going to restore your glycogen cells. You can take it immediately. It's going to be processed immediately. It's going to make sure that you're not wasting muscle. And as long as you do it at the right time, you're not going to see like weight gain from it, right? You can still burn that fat.
What's your opinion on like Powerade Zero or the G2?
Don't do it. Yeah, it's like Diet Coke, right? It's worse for you because at least in Coke, you're getting the sugar, right? Your body can use that for energy. When your body thinks it's getting the sugar and it goes through the process of burning it and then it doesn't have that, jacks the whole system up. Diet Coke's much worse. Low sugar Gatorade is much worse because it has a lot of other artificial sweeteners in it, right? So go full bore. That's why I call, somebody said, one of my clients said, like, don't buy the protein donuts. If you're gonna go donut, go full donut, right? It was Heather, wasn't it? She started hashtags, hashtag full donut. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm missing anything or not, but like honestly, this is all I would, unless I'm missing anything, this is all I would ever recommend anybody take. Creatine is actually a really good supplement. I would absolutely recommend somebody take it if they're trying to gain strength, if they're trying to gain weight. I would absolutely recommend that. I didn't put that on here specifically because none of you guys should be taking it now. In addition, who's on like a regular supplement regimen? Is anybody taking something currently that's not on here?
Take a pre-workout.
A pre-workout, okay. So, here's my spiel on pre-workouts. I'm going to tell you all this. Again, I'm not going to tell you that you can't take it. I would highly recommend you find a branch chain that has caffeine in it. The product that I use, again, not sponsored by them. Actually, here's some of the stuff right here. It's just so you know I'm not just talking out of my butt. I actually use this stuff. EFX is the name of the carbon. Extend makes an awesome branch chain. They make it both caffeinated and non-caffeinated. This would be the only pre-workout that I would recommend other than black coffee. All right? For two reasons. We're trying to save our stress level, and I didn't get into the whole stress levels and all that crap or whatever, your nervous system, but we're trying to save all that stuff. And whenever we take a caffeine, it's extra stress on our bodies. When you take a caffeine or a vasoconstrictor or vasoconstrictor with a vasodilator, it is a crap storm, and it is a perfect storm for strokes. All right, there have been people that have died, and as an effect, they have banned a lot of these substances in pre-workouts. So it's a very real thing. And especially, you see guys, they take it, they get away with it when they're 18, 19, 20 or whatever. You start getting in your 30s, and you're doing some serious damage to your heart and your veins. All right, so while I'm definitely a caffeine person, I take probably 300 milligrams a day. I take it with this because there's no vasodilators in it, and it also has a supplement in it called L-theanine, and I'll actually put that up there. That's a very good one that I take. L-theanine is a supplement that will help you. Actually, I forgot another one. I'll give it a second too. L-theanine is a supplement that calms your nervous system, right? So, again, I'm not going to get in the whole nervous system battle, sympathetic, parasympathetic. You guys can geek out on that and look at that later if you want. I think I did a rant on it a while back. I can post a video. But if you're taking a caffeine, if you guys drink too much caffeine, you get jittery, right? Right? Most of us do. Right? L-theanine will stop that. Right? It doesn't mean you need to take more caffeine until you feel jittery again, but it will lower that, and that is great for your nervous system and your recovery rate. And what we're trying to do to make sure we're not losing muscle and we're just burning fat, your recovery rate is everything.
Okay,
Okay?
here's another thing on the dangers of caffeine and pre-workouts. When I fill out my insurance questionnaire every year, they actually ask if I sell pre-workouts here. And if I check yes, they're gonna jack my insurance rate up. So that, and that's, insurance numbers are based on facts, not like theory. That means somebody out there has died or had a problem and they had to pay out.
Oh, they absolutely have. There's been all kinds of
They
people.
raised the rates up.
You guys didn't see the article like several years ago why 3-dimethylamine was in something called Jack 3D, Explode, and all those things that got taken off the market. They tried to change it to a new name called geranium root, which is the same thing. They just changed the name to make it sound more organic. They took that off the market too because there were literally Navy SEALs, no, it was Army Rangers that were doing PT out in Afghanistan, and they died working out. They died.
So the type of stuff that we're doing, we're jacking our heart rates up anyway. All it's gonna take is people who are susceptible. And they
Yeah,
go into
if you take a super big catalyst, and then which is gonna raise your heart rate, and then you're jacking your heart rate up to like maximum like 180 levels anyways, you're just asking for it to explode eventually.
So no C4.
You what?
No C4.
I don't recommend it for sure. Especially, I mean, I don't recommend it to anybody, but as from like a life-saving perspective, especially not when you're like, who in here follows weightlifting? Does anybody know John North? Yeah, so John's a good friend of mine, and he had a heart attack and almost died in the zoo. And it's a direct correlation from C4. Now granted, he did 4 scoops before he did a seminar. He does seminars like this for weightlifting. He would do 4 scoops and then drink a large Starbucks coffee. But he was only 29 and a half. All right, so anyways, L-theanine is good. And one that I didn't put that I'm gonna put on here, it's the only fat burner. It's technically a fat burner. It's really more a fat metabolizer, L-carnitine. And that it helps you metabolize fat easier. So as far as if you want to do a fat burner, it's the only one that I would recommend. It does not do anything to your heart whatsoever. It actually has the same effect as milk thistle for your liver as well. So it can help your liver as well.
What's that first L1 say?
If you guys want to pay an extra $300 for the 5 weeks, I've got a supplement plan for you. I know a guy. All right, so let's see. Oh, last thing I'm gonna go over before I let you guys go and make your meal plan is free meals and cardio. So free meals, super simple. I let all my athletes that are just on like a maintenance or just kind of going for a long term and they're not getting ready for a competition have 1 free meal a week. What that means is you have an hour-long window to eat whatever the hell you want to. I want you to indulge yourself. I want you to go crazy. If that means pizza, beer, and ice cream, then darn it, have pizza, beer, and ice cream for 1 hour and 1 night, same day, every single week. Let you indulge yourself. That 1 insulin spike, believe it or not, when you're dieting hard, 1 insulin spike a week is a good thing. It will rev up your metabolism and make sure that you're burning fat and everything at an even higher rate. Now, if you do that twice a week, it takes your body about 36 hours to 48 hours to recuperate from that. Now you're not getting back to that zone again. So you're kind of just spinning your wheels. That being said also, the last half of this, so like 2-3 weeks, if you want to have as most efficiency as you possibly can, I would recommend not doing one. That's all I'm going to say about it. But for the first couple, 2-3 weeks, I would do it. Now, what is a good free meal? If you want to get good on a free meal, obviously you can do everything what you want, but there's different ones that I would recommend going for sushi, right? And not the fried, so like I know they're really good, like a dragon roll from a tempura chicken or fish or whatever. But you know that's a better decision, or a steakhouse. Good fat steak, baked potato, raise your red blood cells, or iron and everything else, makes you feel more powerful. Generally, red meat makes you feel more powerful. So those would be the 2 things that I have: hamburger, French fries, great one, no cheese. So the worst things you can do on this would be alcohol, dairy, simple sugar. Those would be the worst decisions for your free meal. Not saying you can't do it for your free meal, but I'm saying those are the worst decisions. Okay? And so that's all I'm going to do for free meals. Cardio is the last thing I'll talk about. Everybody in here is working out, right? Looks like most of you guys are doing CrossFit, which is great. If you're doing bodybuilding, that's great too. I recommend everybody doing at least some accessory, I'll call it accessory cardio training. Just simple stuff, because it's going to help raise your total daily energy expenditure. which means that you're going to be able to eat more food and gain more or lose more fat, right? So the reason why people, you hear like cardio is the devil, like solid state cardio, you lose your gains, all this and that or whatever. That is not true. The best bodybuilders in the world do 3 hours of cardio a day, but they're eating a ridiculous amount of food and they're training heavy weights. So as long as you're training heavy weights, your muscles will continue to grow and replenish and you won't lose that, right? The problem is that you get the people that are cardio queens and they get on the treadmill or they get on the hamster wheel for 2 hours a day and don't do anything else and don't eat. And then that's how you get skinny fat, right? So, but for this, as long as you're eating and as long as you're in weight training, doing anywhere between 3 all the way up to 6 to 7 times a week of cardio, anywhere between 20 minutes to 30 minutes will ensure that you're doing no muscle wasting whatsoever. Anything past 30 minutes, there could be some muscle wasting, but if you've got a lot of fat to lose, do cardio up to an hour a day, 6 days a week, if you want to. For instance, myself, when I did my last show, I was doing an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, every freaking day. I'm not saying that to like put the point into you guys because I'm upset about it. It was not fun, but I did it, and I didn't lose any muscle. I looked good on stage. I qualified for nationals. So you're not going to lose muscle doing cardio as long as you eat the proper foods and as long as you're still doing training. So
Another caveat to that too is like one of the reasons CrossFit got popular is because of that. You're going to lose your muscle, lose your gains. High intensity short sprinting,
it's great.
that is good. That's a response that says keep your muscle. When you start going really long and I saw an article, probably I think today. It said the devil's in the middle. So like bodybuilders, they go low intensity, they go long. They go for an hour, that's lower intensity. They're walking at an incline, they can talk while they're doing it. CrossFit's high intensity is short. If you want to start kind of jogging, that's the middle. They have.
So here's what we want. We want our heart rates for most of you guys and most ages that you're at. You're gonna want your heart rate somewhere between 130 and 155, right? Starting lower and progressing to get harder as the challenge goes. Start with less cardio and slowly add more. And the main thing that I'm going to say about this is that cardio is in addition to the CrossFit. The high intensity interval training is super, super important if you're doing CrossFit. Do not stop doing that. The reason why we should do accessory cardiovascular respiratory endurance is because A, we don't do very much aerobic work in CrossFit. And that's probably the number one thing that CrossFitters aren't doing because of what Levi just said. We have that opposite effect, right? We're like, well, I can't do steady state cardio. I'm doing CrossFit, but you do need that, but it should be in addition to. Another reason why we do it is because if you do CrossFit 5 days a week and then you jump it up to 10 days a week, you're gonna freaking hurt yourself, right? That is too much volume and there is stress on our joints. And we have to have that, we have to load our joints, but there's only a certain amount of volume that we can take. So low impact cardio is a good addition to a good strength training program in CrossFit, right? It never takes its place, but it's a good addition because it allows you to get more volume in with less impact on your body, all right? So something like Levi was said, like walking on an incline treadmill, Stairmaster, something like that is great to help burn fat while you're dieting.
Neighborhood walking, like 7 hills.
That's great.
Hills
Hey,
everywhere around here.
I've got what's
All
cool.
hills.
I do this thing and I'll post videos on it every now and then. We do 10-minute walks. I do 10-minute walks, sometimes 3, 4, 5 times a day. Super easy, it's quick. You've got a job that you work at. Most people get, half an hour or something like that for lunch. Eat your food really quick. As soon as you get done eating your food, you want to increase your insulin sensitivity and help the digestion, go walk for 10 minutes at a brisk pace. That is one of the best things you can do. When you get home at night, dinner, go on the walk with the family. Have a family thing, right? Make it a family. I understand it's cold out. Put your hoodies on. Don't catch pneumonia. Although it might be a good way to lose weight. I'm not telling you to do that. Please don't. It's like, why did his clients die? I don't know. So that's it. That's it for the cardio, guys. I'll take any questions you guys have right now. Show of hands.
When you have your cheat meal, do you still keep your normal meals, eat all your meals for the day?
Very good question. Your cheat meal or your in the program, it's not a cheat. I don't like that mental connection of cheating. Your free meal replaces one of your daily meals. What meal? Well, whatever time of day you eat it. If you're eating 6 meals a day, and you've eaten 5 meals, and you're gonna have your cheat meal, it replaces meal 6. It replaces meal 6. Right, they good? That next?
To get our point for, coming to the gym, do we just need to, you're gonna look at walk by,
You
or-
got it set up because you log into class.
Yeah.
Make sure you should be doing that anyways, log into class. And when you log in, Levi's gonna count all your logins through the month. So you're gonna get those points for that. Yes, sir.
What if I go to another gym?
If you go to another gym, the only way that we've been able to do it to make it to where I can tell, because I can't contact your gym and be like, hey, tell me how many times you came.
You have to check in.
What you check in here on Facebook, and you tag either myself, or it's probably better for them to tag you, honestly, right?
Probably.
You tag Elise. She's doing all the work.
That's not true.
So yeah, so just, and again, you don't have to do it. We're doing it to help Levi. Obviously, it's a promotion for the gym, right? So just, full frontal, whatever, on it, like completely open.
Don't be doing any candy ass workouts and then tagging us. Don't do like jumping jacks. Like, sweet, I'm at doing jazzercise. Like, I'm over here at CrossFit altitude doing jazzercise. I'm kidding.
All right, what else we got?
I do like interval workouts, like sprint workouts on the track, and then I do like hot power yoga. Those aren't CrossFit, but like I'm just trying to figure out how that works. Like, does
The
that not
best
count?
workout, here's what I'm gonna say. I'm worried about activity,
Okay.
okay? The best workout is the one that you're gonna do. If that's CrossFit, if that's spin class,
And I'm
if
doing
that's
CrossFit.
Zumba, yeah. So, yeah, kickboxing, right? I'm not gonna tell you that one is better than the other because I think depending on what your goals are, there's not a bad one, there's not a good one. As long as you're not doing something that's hurting yourself, I'm all for any type of activity in fitness. If that means jazzercise or yoga, that's great. But you do need something to get your heart rate up, right, in that target range. And you do need something to at least have some type of strength training to where you're using your muscles,
Sure.
right? So high intensity interval training on a spin bike, that's great for your lower body. Probably you'd be doing something, at least some type of gymnastic movement for your upper body or something like that.
Okay.
Just for aesthetic purposes, right?
Sure. I'm just trying to figure out what counts, too.
Yeah, well, it all counts. It all counts. I know a lot of you guys have Fitbits and stuff. You see walking and all the other kind of stuff that counts. Like I said, I think the best decision would either be doing CrossFit with the additional cardio. This is for weight loss and muscle burn, or some type of other strength training and cardio, right? Those would be the two best decisions as far as you're going to see the most improvement in the shortest period of time, look the best, all that kind of stuff. What we had back there?
Yeah, you were gonna say something about water, probably just drink.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So water is something I did not go over. I'm so glad you said that. I'm gonna put this on all of y'all's stuff, but for the process here, I want all of you guys, this is just really simple. I want you drinking about 1 ounce of water per pound of body weight. It's a lot. To put that in perspective, 1 gallon is 128 ounces. So if you weigh 128 pounds, you should be drinking a gallon of water a day.
Our way one.
Yeah, so Tara, just 3/4 of a gallon, right? Yeah. So that I want that to be your goal, and then what we'll also do, the last week, you'll be loading water. Loading water is about twice what you were taking in before. So if you're drinking a gallon a day, you're gonna be drinking 2 gallons a day. Yep. So basically what that turns into, just as much as you can possibly handle. I would recommend getting a half-gallon jug like myself, or a full gallon milk jug or something like that. There's a lot of reasons behind this. I'm not going to go into the science because you guys don't have to know it. If you want to know, I can send you some articles and stuff like that. Basically, the easiest thing to understand in layman's terms is the more water in, the more water out. You will be dehydrated if you don't take it. Leslie takes a jug of water. That's my man right there. So you will be dehydrated, and you will retain water because you're dehydrated, which is going to mean a lot of extra weight, and it's going to mean that you fare a lot worse on this little machine right here. Okay? So to do that, we'll be taking even more, and then we will cut all of your water out, like the night before you weigh in. I'm giving everybody that's here this knowledge. This is a little trick, and it's going to make you temporarily be very dry and dehydrated for a short period of time. This is what a lot of bodybuilders and stuff do on stage, or weightlifters. I do with my weightlifters to cut to make sure they get to a weight and they are healthy and they're not dehydrated. A lot of people will dehydrate for weeks before and they end up more bloated and very weak and they do poorly. But as long as you do it for a short period of time, it doesn't hurt your thyroid or any of that other kind of stuff too much, and you will get a very, very drastic change in a short period of time. And then we'll rehydrate and you'll probably gain, 5, 10, 30 pounds back. Yeah, but it depends on how hardcore you do it. I was, on my last show, to give you guys some perspective, I was 260 when I started. 8 weeks later, I was 205.
Holy crap.
Okay? 36 hours after the show, I was 235. That's dehydrated. It's not healthy. I'm not saying it's healthy. We're not going to do that crazy stuff. All right? I'm not going to have you, I don't want you guys taking any diuretics or any crap like that.
Try this at home.
Don't take diuretics. As long as you only use water, it's perfectly healthy. And for that matter, I didn't take diuretics, like hardcore diuretics either, but like dandelion root, B6, B12, those kind of things. You can take those and it's a little bit healthier. I try to be as healthy as I can on stage, but if you do physique, it's not a healthy sport. What else? Any more questions?
Is peanut butter and almond butter interchangeable?
They are not. Again, this is going to be up to you. I'm giving you guys the amounts. So I'm going to say, a certain amount of grams or a tablespoon of fats. You can pick olive oil. You can pick butter. You can pick almond butter. My personal recommendation for allergy and gut irritation purposes would be almond butter. Generally, you find almond butter, it has less sugar in it, and it also has more fiber. So it's just a better decision. But I guess to answer your question, they are interchangeable. They're both fats. And neither of them are really bad. But typically I see more issues with people with peanuts than almonds. Yeah.
Is coffee black?
Is coffee black? Oh, I thought it was a trick question. I'm like, so again, these are all things that are going to leave up to you. I will say that to be the most efficient, you should only drink your coffee black. Everybody should, this is across the board too, everybody should stick to no more than like 36 ounces of coffee. Because that'll put you well over, and if you drink Starbucks, less than that. Because that's going to put you well over 300 milligrams of caffeine a day. And for like a 200-pound male, 300 milligrams is about the most you can have before you start having a negative return. Right? Caffeine isn't ergogenic. It can help your improvement in performance, but only to a certain extent. Just like anything else, you're going to get diminishing returns after a certain period. Right? Does that answer your question?
And I just have one more question. I make my own kombucha and it's really not sweet when it's done. Is that off limits or?
No, kombucha is fine. It's a great probiotic, right? So if you want to take that with a meal once or twice a day instead of a digestive enzyme or probiotic, absolutely. Yeah. Anything else? Any more brain busters?
Are you gonna tell everybody about, the things like the free stuff they can have to make their food taste better? Do you do that at another time?
I think what we're going to do with that is we're going to try and send out as many emails to give as many tips as we go along with it. I could kind of go over some of the stuff here. I don't know if we could go over like recipes. That might be kind of hard.
Yeah, I just.
But as far as artificial sweeteners, if you're going to use them, I would stick to Truvia and Stevia. They are actually non-caloric, and they're not going to jack up your butt. Your butt guy on. I don't know why I have like dyslexia. Dyslexia have I? They're not going to jack that up as much as like aspartame, Splenda, NutraSweet, that kind of stuff. As far as like tips and tricks,
Hot sauce.
I mean, you what?
Hot
sauce.
And spray butter.
Wing sauce.
Spray butter, and I would even say like, while spray butter is awesome, right? It's amazing. When you're dieting, it's a better decision than butter is, just because of the lack of fat content. But spray butter is hydrogenated vegetable oil, or it has hydrogenated oils in it, so it does have small trace amounts of trans fat in it. So it is not healthy for you. So for this program, for these 5 weeks, when you're trying to get lean as much as you can, choose spray butter over butter. For overall health, I would choose an oil or something like that. All right? Sodium is something I did not go over. Sodium is a trick to make your food tasty. Salt the crap out of your food. All right? It's not just for taste. Hot sauce, mustard, all those things. I'm gonna give you a list of condiments and things that you can cook with, just like I give all my clients. It's gonna be pretty stripped down, and it will be stripped down more as the challenge goes, right? We're gonna start the easiest, so if you think it's hard at first, I'm sorry, and it's gonna be the hardest at the end. But sodium is something that I do not want anybody to take out or anybody to skimp on until the very end, right? About the same time we start doubling our water, we'll cut our sodium in half, and about the same time we cut our water out, we'll cut our sodium out. Does that make sense? Water, glycogen, and sodium all interact to make our muscles full. I don't know if you guys know this, but your muscles are 70% water. So your muscles can literally grow 2.5 times the size depending on how much carbohydrate, how much glycogen, and how much water is in there, and sodium. So like if you've ever guys, like some of you guys, maybe if you're going like that keto style diet, you don't have any carbs, and all of a sudden you carb up and you look at in the mirror that night, you're like, holy crap, you got like veins everywhere and you like look huge, but like in a good way. That's what that's from. It's your muscles being restored back to glycogen and water. Yeah, so salt the crap out of your food. Anything with sodium, make sure that it's not stuff with sodium that has sugar in it though. Ranch dressing's got a lot of sugar or sodium in it, but it's also got a lot of sugar and dairy. So I wouldn't recommend that. Yeah, what else? Got everybody? Cool, good stuff. All right, now, what I want you guys to do now is do me a favor, fill out the survey, and on the back of the paper, actually, you know what, don't do it on the back of the paper, I guess, because we need those. Why don't you, everybody's got a phone, right? On the back of the paper, fill out your, I'm not gonna grade it, write your own meal plan, right? Oh, last thing.
Can you
Sorry,
preface that by saying, like, we are creating a meal plan for you? This is just it's just a learning
Yeah,
experience.
I did. This
okay.
is what I would recommend you guys do after the 5-week challenge, to kind of start from scratch and be healthy. You're gonna get all the information. So, I mean, if you absolutely don't want to do it, you need to go somewhere, that's fine. But, you know, I'm hoping that you use the knowledge that I gave you to help you move forward and save you money. So, yeah, fill out the questionnaire, and on the back of it, write your meal plan. If you don't have room, because you've already been writing stuff on the back of it, maybe, hopefully we got some more paper that we can go up here, or you can write it on a board, take a picture of it with your phone, and just take a picture of your phone, meal plan, then hand everything in. And I think that's it. What am I missing? What am I missing?
I don't know. I don't think it.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. Yeah, fill out the forms for me, guys. Thank you so much for this. I'm going to stay and hang out while you guys are doing this to answer any more of your questions. But I had a blast. It's the first time that I've done this seminar with a large group. So hopefully anything that was really cool about this that you like, tell me about it so I know to keep doing it. Anything that you want to add to it or anything like that, tell me about it, because I want to make this better as we go. We're going to start doing this around the country. So you guys are going to help me make this thing better for everybody else, and hopefully you guys in the future when we do this again.